Hello everybody and welcome to the second episode of this video log about live coding and developing the Era framework that stands for Enjoyable Restful API. This is a series about having fun programming with Node.js Express and Typescript. For this second session of this video log, I have decided to have a small presentation where I would like to show which are the arguments of this brief video session. First of all, why I've decided to publish this live coding series. I would like to share a couple of learning resources for this session. Then I will proceed with a brief resume of the session number 1, and then I will continue with some debugging and coding. First of all, why a live coding video on YouTube? I've asked myself this question and I've found several answers, so I think that it is a good idea for me. First of all, I would like to show that programming using Node and TypeScript is very, very fun. You can do amazing things and is a very, very simple way for doing complex things. But my daughters have seen my first video and said to me, "But Dad, why are you doing this? You're not a YouTuber. Don't you feel ashamed of what you're doing?" No, I think it's simply me. So at this moment in time, I am as I am right now with my strengths and my weaknesses. So it is an occasion to improve my written and spoken English because I watch many YouTube videos in English, but I seldom spoke in English, so it is an occasion for me to improve a bit my English. I am still learning, and so I don't pretend to teach nothing to anyone. But an important thing that I've learned in time is that if you can explain something with simple words, maybe you have understood very well what you're talking about. So in order to prove to myself that I've learned the things well, I try to explain those things. In the future, this series of videos will allow me to track my progress because it's quite long time that I'm studying this stuff and I've never recorded nothing. I've never taken screenshots, nothing, and so I don't have a record of my progress, and these videos will allow me to have a track of all the announcements that I will gain in the future. And maybe it will be useful for others, but I don't care that much. It's for me. Essentially, it's for me. Another important thing that I would like to do here is that if you try to explain to the others what you're doing, you have to verbalize your ideas. And this is very helpful to clarify the thoughts. So if you have an idea and maybe you are not very sure of what you're doing, trying to express yourself and to explain what you're doing helps to have a better understanding of what you're doing or what you're trying to do. And why live? Because I don't have time for video editing. It's impossible for me. And I don't care if it isn't perfect. I am not perfect, so it isn't important if it isn't perfect. So I want to share a couple of learning resources today. The first one is this video that is from a couple of years ago, and I've watched it first time about a couple of years ago, and it talks about clean code. This short video gives you very effective tips and very simple tips that can help you very much in order to write clean code, maintainable code, readable code, understandable code, expressive code. So this is a very experienced PHP programmer, Mikhail Topa, and he is trying to explain very shortly very important tips. And another video is about functional programming. That is an advanced topic that is gaining popularity in the latest years, and it is about functional programming that maybe you are already using, but you're not aware that you're already using. And it explains you how to softly or gently migrate to this new paradigm of the programming, showing or explaining a bit which are the advantages of the functional programming. And Kevin Henney is a very smart guy. I love to watch his videos. He has done many videos on YouTube, and he is always interesting to watch. So I would like to show you a brief resume of the session number 1. So what are we talking about? We're talking about Era. Era is a framework that stands for Enjoyable Restful API. So when I've started working with Node and Express and TypeScript, I've seen that you can create many things because Express itself is an HTTP framework that works over Node, extends the Node functionalities. And with this HTTP framework, you can create web services and you can create web servers. So in a web service, you can deliver data to an application, to any kind of application over the internet. And with a web server, you can deliver web pages. But using Express alone, you end up soon with a lot of repetitive tasks, and the overall structure of your server ends up with a lot of redundant code and a lot of boilerplate and a lot of things that you have to do manually. So I have started to reorganize the code, and I soon end up with a framework, like many other frameworks that are present actually and are available for doing those kind of things. I end up with my framework that I think that is more usable than Express alone, because the Era server, first of all, uses TypeScript with Express, because using JavaScript alone, it's a bit harder. So you have to manage the things in a not very easy way. You have many facilitations using TypeScript. First of all, You have a better linter, you have a transpiler, you have a compiler that allows you to avoid many errors that can occur when you write the code. And in the functionalities of the framework, now I have implemented an API documentation that contains the documentation, the explanation about the routes that are the endpoints that you can call to the server, about the schemas, so the types of data that you can deliver using this framework, so the data that you want to manage. In other frameworks, the schemas are called data models, and about the errors, because every kind of route should return specific errors in order to allow a better understanding of what is happening and which are the problems that you may encounter performing the elaborations that you are requesting to the server. Another functionality that is included in the Era is log and profile. So many times you would like to have a trace of what is happening, so I have implemented a logging system and a very little small profile system that allows you to trace what is happening and what kind of performance, what kind of data load or CPU load you are getting calling the various routes and the various endpoints. And you can go and find and search for the bottlenecks that you have introduced in the code. Another important thing that is already contained in the framework is the management of the authorizations of the routes. So not all the endpoints are for everyone, so you can define roles for the various routes, and so you can restrict the access to the various parts and functionalities of the framework that you are going to implement. So now I would like to share with you a brief session of live coding where I will go and try to do some debugging and coding. First of all, I have to restart my development environment. And usually I have to start my transpiler, my gulp toolchain using this command. This command starts the various tasks that are defined in the gulp file. And the most important one is the transpilation of the TypeScript code into JavaScript code that will be executed by the Node server. Okay, 17 seconds is increasing every time. I have to find a solution for this because it is going to take too much time. Now I will run the node monitor. I'm not in debugging mode, I am in development mode. And so now the Era server is listening on port 3000. I can see if everything is working. I can call the home web page, and we are now looking at the main menu. Since the last video I have changed many things and I've changed many of the CSS styles, and now I think that I have a better look and feel, a better user interface. I'm still doing experimentations, but now I have a better, I think, more readable user interface. Now you can see here, this is the main menu of the Era framework. I've added a new route here, a new family. It's not a family, it's a route in the family of home. It's the resources. And here I am going to list a series of resources that I am using for the development of this framework. So the first one is Materialize. Materialize is a CSS framework that allows me to create this look and feel for the web server, because now I am using the web server part of the framework. I am using several JavaScript libraries. I've listed the first two that I'm using. jQuery is used by Materialize, and SVG.js is used for the server-side rendering of SVG. And moreover, I have listed several kind of web frameworks based upon Node. So you can see that there are many. Express, of course, is the basic one, fast, unopinionated, minimalist web framework. And there are several others. The most important ones are Api and Loopback. But there are many others that can do a lot of things. And in the future, when I'll encounter again those frameworks, I will list those ones here. So you can see maybe this is one of the latest that I've found. And it seems functional. As you can see, it's a simple, very simple framework, but it has already inside an ORM, object relational mapper, that allows to use MongoDB, and it has already inside the sockets, so you can create a real-time server. This is one example. There are many of those. Loopback is very, very powerful. Is made by IBM, and now there is a new version, very interesting. It is very powerful. It is completely TypeScript, and now it has this amazing support that is very, very interesting. Allows you to create your application on the client in a very, very smart way. And this is another example. One of the most diffused. Oh, I've made an error here. It's not happy. So let's see what I have to do to correct this. So Control P, resources, links list. And the error here is here is not Adonis, but it is Happy. It's not Happy.js. Application and services, confidence, minimalist, okay, SVG, web services, web frameworks. Okay, I save, recompiles. "15 seconds. Too much. Okay, reload. Web services, web services, web services. It hasn't reloaded yet. Web frameworks. Okay, happy. Okay. This is it has a very wide adoption last month. I've tried to use this framework. It's simple. It has many modules, but it is not my business. So I wanted to understand how to do all of those things. I want to try to mimic all of those things. So for instance, here you can see what this framework can do, and is a lot of things: authorization, authentication, documentation, encoding, localization, logging and metrics, all of those plugins, messaging. It is a very powerful framework. Encoding, logging, metric, messaging, security, session management, templating, utility, validation. Well, all of those things are external modules. Most of those modules are very small. Simplified browsable API documentation generator is exactly what I've done by myself. This is a powerful tool that is Swagger. Let's see an example of what those things can do. Description, server, base path. There's no live example. Generator, lead maintainer, live demo. I've never seen this one, so let's take a look. It's not very fun. Okay, let's see. Alternative, another test. This is a list. Ooh, minimalistic. Okay, it has a minimum of CSS, max age, course authentication, headers, exposed headers, credentials, override, strategies. Okay, here you can have a minimal amount of documentation about the several endpoints or the several routes that this web server is going to manage. Complex array, let's see, ordered followed by string param number. Okay, maybe in some cases this could be enough, but it is a bit different from what I am doing right now. So if you compare this documentation for Api with mine, you can see that here you can have the families. There isn't a family. All the routes are defined at the root level. Okay, maybe they haven't thought about this. Let's see what does this. Nothing. Okay. Here I have a list of the families, and for every family I have this one. This one is the comparable version of this one. So here they have put the accent over the route. Here I have changed recently. I have put the accent over the description of the route. So if I want to see which is the real route that I have to call to see the page that explains how routes work, I have to call this route. And this route has several parameters. I can see the parameters here. So the parameter family is here and is passed by the route inside the path of the route, and it is of type string. So I need a verb, I need a family, I need a path. A verb, family, path. It's a bit different. In a previous version, I have already defined a class, a CSS class that maybe is still there. Okay, it is still there. API verb get. That in origin, in the first version, that is one of those missing CSS. In the origin, this word was colored exactly like that, like this, in green. So this is a different way to show the same thing. I don't know, maybe it's more clean, this version, with assert. Param 1, param 2, details. Assert matches the following model. Details, target. It's similar. Here I have the parameters. I am listing all the errors. So if an error may happen, those are the errors that I am managing for this route. So the first error is there is a wrong family parameter, so family is not found. Or maybe I am defining a wrong verb and path. So there isn't this couple of verb and path are not defining a route. So since those errors, I can have the tests. I have the tests immediately here, and I can run all of those tests from this interface. So if I want to see, okay, family read not found. Okay, let's see what happens. I am trying to call this route, this endpoint, with this wrong parameter. So I expect to have this kind of error. These are the parameters. I will call a get method on this route. So I'm trying to get this family with this verb with this path. Of course, the path I have changed the backslashes and I have substituted with I don't remember which is the word for this underscore. And I expect to retrieve an HTML document that will contain this error message in an area of the page that is called testable result. So if I call this page exactly this, I can open this route in another sheet here. So if I click over here, it creates this page, and this page has an error: family dummy not found, API family read not found, and the testable result is here for the creation of this page, and this is the operations result. So if I can go here and run this test. Here I'm calling an AJAX call through jQuery, and here I can see that the test is failing. The test is failing. There's something wrong here. There's something that is going wrong. Something that has to be debugged. I can run all the tests simultaneously. So if I return here to route, I run all the tests. I can run all, and I'm having several errors here. Let's see what's happening. Okay, as we can see, there's something that is going wrong here. There's something is going wrong. I am expecting to have family not found. Instead, I'm getting no error. So this is why the test is failing. Here I should get false. So if the result is false because there's an error, the test is successful. Okay, this is something that I have to fix. But now I am showing you that I have changed all of this interface. The previous one was much more cluttered and did not scale very well. It was not really small screen friendly. It was not really very responsive. Now it is a lot better. So I have the route. I have to check why these failing things are not working properly. So I am here. So I am here on a route family. Let's go to the Visual Studio Code. Control P. Route. No. Help. Controller. Help controller. build route page. So this is where the error will happen. Build route page. Help for route. Are we here? Help for route. Get validator. Okay, if validator, load route test data. Okay, load build route page portion. Build route page portion. I can't manage the error here this way. I should return an Apg result here instead of a content. Or instead I should validate here if the family name is not valid. Go to definition. Find family. Find route. No, it's correct. It's correct. Because I'm doing the... No, it's correct. It's correct. Manage error, route error. Okay. This builder build. Okay. Because here we are trying to manage the error that can happen before we are calling the page portion builder. So we are handling this kind of errors here. Manage error, route page error. Peak definition. Okay, content, message. Head, content, title, master. But here is missing something. Here is missing something. Something is missing something. Because here, auto test. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Because the content already contains the testable area. Go to definition. I have to change a lot of things here. There's a big mistake. Content. Auto test. Okay, let's see what happens if I am trying to debug. I stop the node monitor. And I run the debugger. And let's see what happens if I try to call the wrong things here. But this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. I can't do this. I can't do this. It's wrong. It's wrong. To manage this properly, I have to change many things here. Content title, content error message. This is a classical example of side effects and separation of concerns. This is a problem. I'm not doing the things in the correct way here. I'm trying to do too many things in the same methods. So maybe the better approach is to manage the errors here So as you can see here, I am calling the same method here, manage error. Maybe it's better to call the manage error method only here. So instead of returning a content here, I should return a result. And inside the result, there should be the content. It's a better approach for managing the errors. And I should build the testable in the final part of the content instead of this way. But the HTML builder fills the auto test. I think that I have to do a lot of refactoring here. A better approach should be to return the builder and to call this function here. This builder build. I should return this here, not this build. Okay, breadcrumb, find the family. Okay, find the route. Okay, manage the error. Okay. Or instead, I should manage the errors before title content. See route. Maybe it's better, but I have the same problem. I can't insert the testable portion inside the content. This builder build. This builder build. I've done a lot of mistakes here. It's not working properly. I should call build outside this method. But this changes everything. I have to change everywhere. It's no more build. This is an example of imperative programming in OOP. Build. If I change here, I have to change in many places. I have to be sure what I'm doing here, because if I do some other mistakes, I have to refactor a lot of things. The problem maybe is caused by the fact that I have introduced this method here. But maybe it is in the wrong place, because I'm doing the same thing in two places here. The right thing to do is different. Is to do this in the controller. Okay, let's try something like this. Instead of doing this, let's do this. Letter A, okay, iframe, iframe, this API values. It's not correct, because here in the builder I am building it using API data. It's a mistake. I'm in the controller, and when I'm initializing it, I'm building using this, and this is the mistake. Find family, find route. But this maybe is another mistake, because find route, first of all, should do find family. Okay, so it is not necessary. It already returns the correct error if there's an error. So Ctrl Z, find route, load the route test. Okay, load route test data. Find route again. But G-force route tests. Okay, if only if force, if array is array, true. Refactor. Use cache. Much better. Okay. So here the load route test data is already trying to find the route. Find the route. So this is redundant. I don't need this because it is already done. If the route is not correct, the error message is already inside the result. Build the route page portion. I need a more flexible way to do those things. Build the route page portion. I have to use something like builder manage error. So the builder manage error can do the things in the correct way. Go to definition. It manages the error entirely. 6 references, auto test. Okay, manage error. I manage the title. I'm not managing the breadcrumbs. It's ugly. It's ugly. Ugly. It's ugly. Ugly. It's an ugly hack. No, it can't work this way. It can't work this way. It can't work this way. Well, it could work this way, but I should manage the result here. Build family page portion. Okay, I'm building the breadcrumb. I am trying to find the family, but the family are already managed outside because in the controller I am managing in the controller. Okay, no, let's go down. Okay, I am building a breadcrumb. The family is already found, and this is already found. I don't need this. Right? Okay. Alright. Clear this breadcrumb build const. Right? I have the route. It is inside the result, the title. Okay, const title. This title build this content, these comments. Is clear. Okay. If not reoc match error. Manage error. Yes. So I'm going to pass here a result to this, but I don't even need this. This is unnecessary. Why am I doing this? Oh, okay, no, verb, path, route. Where am I using this? I'm not using no more. Where is it? No. I'm using it for creating the breadcrumb. Okay, no problem. No problem. No problem. Route, do 2 and 3. 2, family. Okay, these are necessary, so no problem for this. Instead, here there's a problem. Got it. Result. So now I don't need this no more, and now this is managed correctly. So I'm trying to do the operations here. Okay. There's a side effect here that there's a side effect. So we here are referring to the fact that there's a side effect. The side effect here is that we are finding the route. So I think that this is a mistake. I don't have to do this. Load route test data is wrong here. I should pass the route, not family index, family route index, route path. Too many side effects here. Too many side effects. Find route. It's not easy to think in functional way. It's harder. Maybe it's worse. I can pass a result here instead than family name, verb, and path. Family name. Family name. Verb and path. So if instead of this I am passing only a route, logger validator is used to validate the tests. Test file, validate, JSON array, validate, validator. Okay, so this is a test validator. I need a test validator and I need a route. I am using this strategy or pattern here to identify or detect the errors in the upper part of the method or the function. So in the lower part we are doing the good stuff. This is a pattern that I have seen today on Quora. So let's see if I can see the reference to that article that I read today. Okay, what is the coolest coding pattern you have seen? And this is the article. Early exit, the coolest and simplest thing. So the idea is to exit the code blocks as soon as you can. Run on sentences, so reduce nesting, helpful for reinforce the fact, validation checking should be done first, much easier for others to debug your code. And this is something that is interesting. I already knew about this strategy, but here is explained very well which are the advantages. And so now I'm trying to apply this strategy here. A family name, a verb, a path. Okay, read this. Find route is not this find route, but is Era API find route families, maybe families find route family name verb and path. Okay, first, second block. Let content, let route. Route. Okay. But now this is inside here, and I don't want this inside here. Let okay. Validator. Oh, woof. Late validator. Okay, first of all, we want to get the validator. Then we want to find the route. If the route is okay, so there aren't errors, I want to load the route test. Okay, for any kind of error, I will arrive here, so I will build the route page version, and I will use the build page of the HTML engine to create the entire page log and await. Okay, seems working. There are errors here. I have to do the same thing on the test reload page. I'm using the same pattern: schemas, families, load route test page. Not really difficult. I will do the same here. No, it's exactly the same. So I have to do exactly the same here. Content route validator. Content route. Validator. Let error. No. Okay. Go away. There's something missing here. That content, content. No, we are not doing content here. Build a route page. Build route page. Build route page. Build route test page. Build route test results page. I have to change many things, but till now it seems working. Let's see if it compiles. Now it's more clear. I am doing the correct thing, I think. It's more than 10 seconds. Okay, here it is simple. It's not very difficult. Even if it should fail here too. So also in the build page, I should manage the error in the same way. title, content route validator. But a better time may be inferred from usage. Test validator. Okay, it complains. The transpiler and the linter are complaining about this. But now it is any. I don't want this to be any because this is AJV. Is AJV. Variable is assigned before the assigned. So in order to make this work, I have to nest. It's not very nice. Okay, it's not nice at all. But take a look. Let's see if it's working. Get route. Ooh, here we're doing something even more critical, because we can have an error even before check params, go to definition, returns an Apg result. A lot of things to refactor here. So in the router, and we are in the HTML router now. We want to go in the builder help controller. But in the help router, we are doing this. So here we have to check if the parameters are good. If the parameters are good, and we are trying to get the family, the verb, and the path. help controller build route page. Help controller build route page. Oh, this is I have to do a lot of work here too. I should pass the result to the controller. The result, because here it can fail already. It can already fail. Well, the positive aspect is that when I will have finished all of this stuff, the remaining things will be a lot easier to do. Well, this is a big missing piece. This is very important, and this was missing before. I have introduced in the last few days this check of the parameters of the request. And so during this check, this kind of verification are performed. So if we expect the parameter named family into the route of type string, we do this kind of check. Of course, here is trivial, but if we set something into the body of a put or post method, this is extremely important. And this kind of verification is performed here. Check params. But I have to return another kind of object. Check params. I should return r dot payload dot params family dot request. I need a mechanism to manage the error here. Build route page, go to definition. Initialize result. This builder manage error content. This builder manage error else this content. So I don't need to pass. No, I need to pass this down. I need to pass this down, or I need to get the result back to be managed here. I have to decide. I want to use the builder help HTML builder, help HTML builder, help HTML builder. Build route page portion. Build route page portion. Manage error. Manage error. Okay. Let's make a copy of this object here. test validator, find the route, load the route, page builder. So we want to use a page builder, a page builder, a page builder here. We want to use a page builder here, so we are using a page builder, and here I have manage error. Else content is content is builder instead content equals to this builder manage error. Right. Great. Title. Okay, seems okay. Seems okay. There's a mistake. I need that this object here is not rewritten here. Is going messy here. Is going messy. Build out page. Is going messy. Ugly and messy. Find route. Okay. Route page portion. Oh, it's unnecessary here. If I pass the route instead the result. New. So here I have to pass the route. Same problem before. Okay. Started scripts. Now I can perform all the tests here. Okay, it's true. Why am I returning all of these things? Check params. Right. Payload. Nah. Data type HTML. Description HTML page. There's something wrong here, but really wrong. Compiled has recompiled. Okay. Restart, please. It's not working. Identify a route. And in the payload, I think that there is the route. Here's the route. Payload is the route. Okay, route for each. Okay, switch. Passed by. Route, passed by route. Type of name. String. Okay, here now into the payload I have the route. Into the payload I have the route. So it is a problem. It is a problem. No, it's not a problem. There's already the route. Payload is full of stuff. We are copying it as is. Okay, true. Get validator array. Okay, now it's clean. Okay. It is validator. Test way. There's the route again. Route. Whoa. Something bad happened. Wow, what the bad things. Load route test data. needs a bunch of things inside. Family index, route index, route path. Okay, maybe it's only a matter of, no, it's not a matter of nothing. Route index, route. Um, 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 um. Family index, route index. Bad things, bad things, bad things, bad things. Too many things in the same, in the same stuff. I need an interface here. Small, but I need an interface. I need an interface. Interfaces. API. Here API. Find. Find family or find route or identify route. Identify route. Find route. find the result. said that this was a real mess. When I figured out what was going on here, I understood that it was a real mess. I had to do a bunch of changes, and I will have to do another bunch of changes here, all over. But now it's working. And maybe it will work also if I will introduce errors. So now it's working again, and now the testable result should be correct. So if I want to go to the tests and I want to run the tests, and I say to run all the tests, maybe it's better if I disable the breakpoints. Okay, let's see what happens. Reload tests. Okay, no, something wrong happened. No, crashed. Stop. Reload. Run on. Some are working, some are not working. Let's see what's happening here. Ooh. It's not returning the correct data. Family name, family index, family route. What a mess. Run. Coding. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Errors here, errors there, errors all over. And code cannot read properly, errors of undefined. It's not returning the correct object. Another debugging session tomorrow. Next. One. Next. This is working. I don't know why, but this is working. Test result. Test parameters. But I think that I am on the correct way. I have to see if everything is good. I've done a lot of work, but I'm getting a lot of errors still. I should recover this space here, putting the button over the number. It's not simple. It's a real mess. It's a real mess. But here in the router, get route. Okay. I'm checking the parameters. I have to write the tests to check the parameters. There's a lot of job to do still. A lot of job. Okay, get family. In the get family, I have the result. Of course I have. Check params. And I should pass the result to the family page. Here, even more. Check params. Get the route. Test reload. Okay, and here I have one more. Get route tests, one more. Okay, but this in the end is how should appear a route in the router manager. So here, this is the router manager. Here I install the endpoints, and when I've installed the endpoints, every router manager, if that is this function, first of all does an initialization and retrieves the logger from the request. The logger is inserted in by the middleware. Then I have to check the parameters. Then I have to pass the parameters of the checking to the controller. Then the controller has to manage the entire thing. I have to decide what to do with the parameters, if there are errors or what to do. And so here we have a build route page. In the build route page there's a bit of mess. Not that much, but there's a bit of mess. So first of all I need a validator to load the test data. But I don't need the find route. I don't need the find route because the find route is already done here by the check params. Inside the check params here I am returning the route. Here I am returning the route. Because here the first thing it does is to identify the route. It identifies the route. So you can get the route immediately from the result, because it's not overwritten. It is still into the payload. If it is okay. Well, a lot of things to do, a lot of things that has to be fixed, a lot of things to repair, bunch of things. Okay. Thank you for watching. A bit boring, I think, but it was tough. I had done a very big refactoring of the entire process of managing the routes. So now I have a bit more consistent idea of what I have to do. I'm not satisfied of this because I should take off this function, the route, immediately here, because it could be useful. It can be useful. But this is not important. No, I could extract immediately the route here inside the controller. Inside the controller, the first thing I should do, I should use I don't know, let's see. Maybe I need another interface, an interface that contains these two things, the event logger and the route. Let's see what happens. Okay, thank you for watching and bye bye.